Welcome back to another episode of Classic Credits. Today we look at a should-have-been classic from 1986. A game that many gamers, even ones that were big into arcades back then, didn't know existed. Basically, there was an arcade slump in the mid-80s, starting around 1985. During this time, there were quite a few games that just never got their chance to shine. One such game was Joust 2. Joust 2? Yes, there was a sequel to Joust. Joust was released in 1982 by Williams Electronics. It was very well received and did extremely well in both the arcades and ports to home consoles, or released in emulated arcade collections. Joust has appeared on virtually every console in some way, shape, or form since its release.
Who will challenge me?
Joust 2, Survival of the Fittest was released in 1986, and it just never caught on. Joust 2 was very much like its predecessor. You have the same basic premise. You have a knight that rides on the back of a giant flying ostrich. You face knights that fly on the backs of giant buzzards. To knock them off their mounts, you must initiate contact with them when your lance is at a higher elevation than theirs. Your enemies then turn into an egg that must be captured before it has time to hatch, in which it will turn into a higher level rider. So, Joust. Joust was a fun and challenging game. If you thought Joust was hard, then Joust 2 will have you screaming for mercy. They changed several of the mechanics to make the game extremely challenging. You still have the same 3 levels of buzzard knights, red, gray, and blue. But if an egg falls into the lava this time, it is not destroyed. It mutates into a faster and more intelligent buzzard rider. Buzzard riders spawn faster and have more places to spawn this time, so making camping over the teleportation pads no longer a valid strategy. The pterodactyl returns and is used much more frequently. Once you get a few levels in, nearly every level spawns one right at the beginning. You still have to hit it in the nose with a lance to kill it. New to Joust 2 are crystal bats. They are small, they are fast, and they are a pain. They have added a mechanical buzzard that lays eggs and crystals. It can stealth and warp around the level. Levels have also changed. Unlike the original Joust, which just altered which platforms were in the level at any given time, Joust 2 has several completely different layouts. Each level has its own hazards, such as lightning-emitting devices, lava trolls, or water monsters, or pistons. Finally, they have added large mechanical knights that have impact points. On levels that have these knights, once you hit all the points with your lance, the level is over. Egg waves are still present, and speaking of eggs, even those have changed. When an egg hatches this time, the rider is no longer defenseless. They have a lance that will kill you unless you attack them from behind, or
Transform!
Joust 2 allows you to transform your mount from an ostrich to a pegasus. The pegasus is slower and doesn't fly nearly as well as the ostrich, but is invulnerable to hatch knights' lances, and it also will destroy crystal bat eggs instead of hatching them. Not all of the changes in the game, though, have been designed just to kill you. There are now 2 types of eggs. You have the normal eggs, and you have golden eggs. The golden eggs, once you get one, will create a bonus button, and when you maneuver your mount over the button, it will give you either a points bonus, an extra life, or do a super zapper attack, which will destroy all enemies on the screen. When you add up all the changes that this game has over an already challenging game, you get a seriously intense arcade experience. This game offered a continue function, the first time Williams offered such a feature, and you will use that feature a lot. Joust 2 didn't do very well in the arcades. There were over 25,000 Joust machines shipped, but Joust 2 only shipped around 1,000. It is a fairly rare machine and is sought after highly by collectors. I still consider this a classic. If the conditions or the market were better in 1986, this game would have most likely been just as popular as its predecessor, as it improved on the first game in every possible way. And due to the rarity of Joust 2 arcade machines, if you do want to check this out, your best bet would be to try to check out a home release. It was released in 2 compilation sets, Arcade's Greatest Hits, the Midway Collection 2, and Midway Arcade Treasures. Thanks again for checking out another episode of Classic Credits. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that I have exposed some of you to the greatness of Joust 2, a game that most of you may or may not know actually existed. So I would suggest checking it out if you can find it in a local arcade or know an arcade collector that may have it. And once again, thanks for watching Classic Credits. If you like the show, please subscribe. Tell people about it on Facebook, Google+, Twitter. And make sure to join in next time, where I hope to show you a game that you may have forgotten or maybe never even heard about.